Hello and welcome to NTA Nationwide. I am Miriam Akpata. President Muhammadu Buhari has stressed the urgent resolve by parliamentarians and nation-states in Africa to champion the cause of peace, security, democracy and social-economic development on the continent. The president stated this at the opening of the 41st Conference of the African Parliamentary Union in Abuja. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The conference, which coincided with the 73rd session of the Executive Committee of the African Parliamentary Union, is among others considering the role parliaments can play in finding lasting solutions to terrorism, armed gangs and organized crimes as challenges of security in Africa. Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari said, has done a lot towards reversing the terror trend and in particular halting the advancement of Boko Haram through effective collaboration with neighboring countries, strengthening the armed forces as well as initiating programs towards addressing widespread poverty as a significant factor boosting recruitments by terror groups.
In spite of this progress, we are not unmindful of the remaining challenges of armed invaders who ransack villages and small farming communities and commit terrible acts, including the cold-blooded murder of women and children. We are also making progress in addressing this challenge. It is my strong belief that the APU will develop strategies to assist governments in confronting this menace. I will be more than willing to fast-track your resolutions for deliberation and adoption at the ECOWAS sub-region and much larger African Union.
The president described as pleasing that the conference is also looking at the promotion of private investments on the continent as a key index of economic performance, saying, however, that the dynamics of global trade are changing fast.
As a global economic superpowers, redesign and restructure the global economy, Africa cannot afford to be caught off guard. We have to navigate these uncertain economic times with realistic plans in which the private sector is key. Barriers that restrict ease of doing business and private sector growth must be addressed by legislation.
On the education of the girl child as a way of addressing early marriages, President Buhari noted with delight that 4 high school girls from Anambra State made the nation proud recently by winning the first position for innovation at an international competition held in the United States.
The success of these girls, some as young as 14, is a success for Africa as a whole. But more importantly, it is a demonstration of what can happen when the girl child is given the opportunity. Education should not be seen as a government program only, but as a human right and social imperative.
Both the APU chairperson and Speaker, Guinea-Bissau's Popular National Assembly, Kasama Cipriano, as well as Nigeria's Senate President, Bukola Saraki, promised to champion the objectives of bringing African parliamentarians together to support efforts at finding lasting solutions to the many problems confronting the continent.
Fighting corruption, good governance, fight against terrorism are all based on a great amount of support from the legislative arm of government. We parliamentarians must see the executive as partners in progress so that we can collaborate effectively to address these problems.
The APU conference had as its theme the role of parliaments in the fight against terrorism, armed gangs, and organized crimes in Africa, as well as promotion of private investments as a major factor in economic development. In Abuja, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Senate adjourned 30 minutes after reconvening for Thursday's plenary. This is to enable senators attend the ongoing African Parliamentary Union at the ECOWAS Commission, Abuja. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports.
Well, as soon as the Senate reconvened for Thursday's plenary, the Deputy President of the Senate, Ike Ekweremadu, explained to the senators that because of the ongoing African Parliamentary Union going on in Abuja, that the Senate will only approve the votes and proceedings of Wednesday's plenary and then adjourn to enable members of the Senate attend the ongoing African Parliamentary Union. And then the Senate leader, Ahmed Lawan, went further to explain the need to stand down all the items on the order paper for Thursday's plenary.
So it is only proper, let me use the word proper, and I refuse. Just listen, please. I refuse to use the word mandatory. It is only proper that we adjourn this sitting with the clear idea and intention of going there to support the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Secondly, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria himself is also going to be in attendance.
The uncommon leader, I will now put the question again. Those in support, I will suspend proceedings of today to another legislative day in view of leaders, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Now, moving on to education, the Committee of Women Parliamentarians of the African Parliamentary Union has urged governments of African countries to adopt and implement a legislative and legal framework towards enrollment and protection of young girls in schools. Correspondent Kenneth Nanim reports that the female lawmakers are of the view that such will promote feminine values and discourage early marriages.
Consequences of early marriages have become issues of global concern. It is against this backdrop that the Committee of Women Parliamentarians from member countries of African Parliamentary Union are brainstorming in this forum to come up with a resolution that will help to promote girl-child education to discourage the trend in the African continent. Report published in August 2016 by the World Bank Group revealed that about 41,000 girls are being married out every day before the age of 18, bringing the figure to 15 million per year globally. Direct effects of these practices on the socio-economic development of the African member countries of the Union is being highlighted at this forum, having underscored the need for countries to take seriously the girl-child education to improve knowledge, skills, chances of employment to reduce poverty and early marriages. The female lawmakers are taking nothing to chance in achieving the objectives. The new leadership of the committee elected at the forum to lead for the next 2 years also pledged commitment to the campaign on women empowerment.
The governments should make sure that every girl goes to school, because we know a lot happens in the marriages. Some kids are dying when they get pregnant. They cannot deliver because the age is too small for them, too young to have a kid. So my fight is to fight for the girl child in every country. I was trying to make sure we communicate.
The Committee of Women Parliamentarians is also involved in the fight against trafficking in person and conflict resolution amongst member countries. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Now, House of Representatives says there is an urgent need for stakeholders to work in unison towards converting all flows that give room for manipulation of the electoral process. To this end, the lawmakers insist that internal democracy must be embraced and practiced in accordance with the rule of law. Following a motion by Representative Abubakar Chika, The House has set up a committee to investigate violation of Electoral Act and alleged excesses across parties in the conduct of recent primaries preparatory to 2019 elections. Not building a new Nigeria where truth, passion and service for good governance is paramount has been identified as possible if the nation makes the fear of God priority. National Assembly correspondent Omotola Omojola reports that he's echoed at the 9th National Prayer Breakfast organized by the Christian Legislators Fellowship.
A call for spiritual renewal, the 9th in the series, the 2018 National Prayer Breakfast underscores the need for the country to return to God. Giving the words of exhortation, Apostle Emmanuel Nuhu Kure calls for a comprehensive review of the Constitution while stressing that citizens must prioritize national interest as against regional or tribal affiliations for a new Nigeria.
The will of God for this season is that Nigeria must stop now, come to a place where it stands still and refuses to even talk or do any other thing, but begins a review of the whole system and processes that made us a nation. The colonial masters have finished their work. It's our turn to re-engineer ourselves. And if there is any cry of the spirit now, it's for a generation that will start that re-engineering process.
Speaker Yakubu Dogara encouraged all to keep the fire burning by praying always for the nation.
If we remain true to our prayers, through our prayers, we can change the narratives about Nigeria. We can change the destiny of this great country.
President Muhammadu Buhari, in his message delivered by Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, expresses confidence in the unity of Nigeria and reiterated his administration's commitment to good governance in the country. The event also advised citizens and politicians alike to be responsible in their utterances and shun hate speech before, during and after the 2019 elections. In Abuja, Omotola Omojola, NTA News.
EFCC arraigns former DG NDDC. For more on this, over to Michael Olaleye from the Lagos Zonal Center for more reports. How are you doing, Michael?
Thank you, Miriam, and welcome to Lagos. The case of import duties and withholding tax assessment filed by MTN Nigerian Communication Limited against the Attorney General of the Federation came up for hearing at the Federal High Court today in Lagos. Vera Chinwuba reports that registered trustees of hotel owners and managers associations were also in court challenging the new hotel occupancy and restaurant law of Lagos State.
MTN is seeking a declaratory relief on the purported revenue assets investigation allegedly carried out by the federal government on the MTN between 2007 and 2017. MTN had instituted the suit on the 10th of September, challenging the legality of the Attorney General's assessment and value-added tax of over $242 and $1.3 billion. All parties to the suit were in court. Chief State Counsel from the Ministry of Justice, Ghazali, appeared for the Attorney General of the Federation. In his preliminary objection, he argued that a plaintiff's failure to commence the suit within 3 months as stipulated by law robs the court of its jurisdiction to entertain the suit. Justice Aneke has fixed December the 3rd for hearing of all pending applications. The registered trustees of Hotel Owners and Managers Association are also challenging the new hotel occupancy and restaurant consumption regulation, which brought an increase of consumption tax, in addition to a value-added tax on every purchase. The plaintiff is urging the court to strike out the suit. The court had issued an interim order restraining the defendant from enforcing the new law. Further hearing continues on Thursday, the 17th of January, 2019. In Lagos, Vera Chinwuba, NTA News.
The heir apparent to the British throne, Prince Charles of Wales, was at the British Council in Lagos to interact with members of the nation's creative industry on how to make the sector a thriving one for economic hotbed. Elizabeth Omori, who witnessed the interactive session, reports that the Prince of Wales was particularly fascinated by Pidgin English.
On arrival, Prince Charles was welcomed amidst pomp and pageantry with a cultural performance. The visit of the prince, according to the players in the nation's creative industry, is apt, following efforts by the international community to develop the African entertainment industry through cultural exchange. Members who were drawn from the music, movie, photography and fashion arms of the creative industry agreed that the sector will continue to contribute to the gross domestic product, GDP, of the economy.
The industry is vibrant. They see what we're doing. We cannot be ignored for every sector. So for us, first of all, the fact that the prince respects the industry, there's something to be said for that.
You know, and the takeout for us is to just keep doing what we're doing, to stay indigenous, to stay original, and to be global.
Issues of local content development, originality, acceptance of indigenous productions, and funding, the Prince of Wales says, if addressed, will make the entertainment industry competitive globally.
He asked about our comedy and then wanted more information, and we promised we were going to do a mini documentary that will tell the story of Nollywood as an African story, encompassing everything we do, and then sent to him through the British Council.
There was a special art exhibition to commemorate the visit of the Prince of Wales. In Lagos, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
With the federal government drive to promote Made in Nigeria, the Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Alhaji Garba Abari, has called for more production of biofortified foods in the agricultural sector. He was speaking at the opening of a Nigerian food fair in Lagos. Lenut Nuna Musa reports.
Government functionaries, farmers, students, food producers, as well as promoters and investors in the agricultural sector close rank to discuss ways of tackling the challenge of malnutrition in the country. Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Garba Abari, and his counterpart in the National Directorate of Employment, Dr. Nasiru Ladan, were on hand to add value to the Biofortified Intervention Program as a means of creating the necessary sensitization to the public.
Along the agriculture value chain, you can see all the additions that are coming up. This is the way to go to create jobs, to engender growth, and to create wealth.
They have a lot of interesting ideas as far as doing that is concerned, and that's the reason why we come to them like any other sector.
Permanent Secretary of the Lagos State Ministry of Commerce, Industries and Cooperatives, Ganiu Olarewaju, who represented Lagos State Governor, said government is ready to partner with the organizers on Biofortified Intervention Program. Organizers stressed the need for Nigerians to diversify their meals rather than consuming a particular meal on a regular basis to avoid illnesses.
Why we have a lot of emphasis on biofortification is the fact that it's linked to your food culture. It does not change your culture. What we are saying is, if you traditionally would eat cassava, then eat the more nutritious one.
Some years back, we just plant, and some of us that are into processing of this product.
Other speakers at the event expressed optimism with the intervention to reduce malnutrition in Nigeria. In Lagos, Nairot Nina Musa, NTA News.
That's our contribution from Lagos. Back to Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Thanks, Olale. As a mark of appreciating the contributions of Nigerians, armed forces in the First and Second World War for paying the ultimate sacrifice, the Prince of Wales, Charles Arthur George, performed ceremonial laying of wreath at the National Military Cemetery in Abuja. Defense correspondent Olajide Bello reports that this was at the instance of the Minister of Defense, Mansur Dan Ali, service chiefs and members of the Nigerian Legion.
The occasion, which is the last engagement of the Prince Charles of Wales in Nigeria, will no doubt change the narratives in the course of history, as the selfless sacrifices of distinguished servicemen have been remembered and honored. The British Defence Advisor to Nigeria, Brigadier Charles Calder, speaks on the significance of the event and the Nigerian Armed Forces' contributions in the First and Second World Wars.
It is appropriate that as we work today in partnership with Nigeria to address her own national security challenges, that we remember Nigeria's contribution and sacrifice in both World Wars.
A veteran, Usman Kantiok, still standing and not a fallen hero, recounts with nostalgia the bravery, gallantry and pride displayed by the Nigerian soldiers during the war.
That he has participated in the World War, and towards the end of the war, he even crossed and participated in Biafra War.
It will be recalled that over 45,000 Nigerians fought against Hitler during World War II, and these Nigerians were among the 90,000 West African soldiers deployed as part of the British Army's 81st and 82nd West African Division that fought the war described as jungle warfare in Japan. From the military cemetery in Abuja, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
Moving now to security matters, the Nigerian police force has paraded additional suspects alleged to have attacked the residence of the Deputy Senate President, Ike Ekweremadu. Parading the suspects, the force public relations officer and acting Deputy Commissioner of Police, Jimoh Moshood, said 6 persons have so far been apprehended in connection with the case.
Since the news of the alleged assassination attempt on Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu broke out a few days ago, there has been conflicting reports as to the nature of the case, whether assassination attempt or burglary. However, the Nigerian police, while giving an update on the case, said the investigation revealed that it was a case of burglary and attempt to commit robbery and not assassination attempt as claimed by the victim.
There was no any cover by the police in the investigation of the crime that occurred in the residence of the Deputy Senate President. And that is why the 4 police personnel and 1 personnel of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps on duty at the residence of the Deputy Senate President at the time of the incident have been arrested, and they are still in detention and are being investigated for negligent acts and dereliction of duty. It is also not correct that police responded after 7 hours because the resident of the Deputy Senate President shared fence with the Apo Legislative Quarters Police Post.
The first PRO said the same suspects committed similar offense in the residence of Haliru Adamu of the Apo Legislative Quarters in Abuja. Acting DCP Jimoh Moshood called on the Deputy Senate President and the entire National Assembly to be patient and allow the police carry out thorough investigation into the incident with a view to bringing the perpetrators to justice. As part of efforts to beef up security in the FCT, the force established 5 more divisional police headquarters, including the upgrade of the Apo Legislative Quarters post to a divisional status. This measure, Mr. Moshood believed, will reduce crimes and criminalities in the affected areas and improve police visibility in the Federal Capital Territory.
Still on security matters, the Federal Capital Territory Police Command has paraded one Emmanuel Emeka Onuma, aged 34, for breaking into an ATM and stealing the sum of 14 million naira. Assistant Commissioner of Police Operations, FCT Command, Valentine Olumese, while briefing newsmen, said the suspect was an employee of the bank before he was dismissed in August this year for fraudulent activities. Safia Norma Uche reports.
Assistant Commissioner of Police Valentine Olumese said the proactive measures put in place by the command to combat crime in the FCT is yielding positive results. He said the suspect, Emmanuel Emeka, has confessed to the crime and some of the money he stole were converted to foreign currency.
Upon his arrest, the following amount of money were recovered from him as exhibits. That sum of $28,000 US, $1,650,000 naira.
I worked with the bank. I was not. How many years? For 11 years. No benefits, no settlement.
The command also arrested 2 additional members of a gang who killed one Monday. Umo, the deceased, was picked by the suspect from Kagini as a passenger on the 28th July 2018. The suspects speak.
So why do you kill the man?
This was who got. First crack the gun. Never should I. He crack a
A man was paraded for luring men to believe he is a woman.
As we don't carry meat, and the man touch my phone, don't say, I don't say at the man. My boyfriend, so it's not I don't use gun.
ACP Olumese urged residents to continue to support the command with information about criminal hideouts and persons suspected of dubious character. All suspects will be charged to court after a thorough investigation. Safia Noma Uche, NTA News.
Well, this is NTA Nationwide on the network service of NTA. Well, a break beckons. Don't go away.
Speech.
Thanks for staying tuned. The farmers and herders conflict is a major crisis being addressed by the federal government. To this end, a brochure launched towards peaceful coexistence between herders and farmers in Nigeria was organized by Miserio and the Catholic Secretariat of the Nigeria Briefing of Nigeria. Briefing journalists in Abuja, the Secretary General of the organization said after much research and dialogue with various stakeholders, the result was documented to highlight the causes of the conflict between herders and farmers and to further chart a way forward for peaceful coexistence.
This would extend the outcome of the research in promoting peaceful coexistence between herders and farmers and our extended families as Nigerians. Thousands of people have been rendered homeless, with many also rendered orphans, widows. Is it therefore not sensible to call it quits and find equitable, lasting solutions to the grave matter?
We are hoping that the booklet presented here will have a significant impact on the ongoing efforts on all levels, but also particularly of our partners to deal with this conflict, first of all on the local level.
Ruth Aguele reports that the group also emphasized on the need to expand the dialogue through a collective responsibility to put an end to the crisis for social-economic growth of the nation. Nigeria can change the culture of impunity and retrace her citizens from the lawlessness and aggression that permits the nation. Guest on Good Morning Nigeria made this assertion while discussing the ethics and value system in Nigeria. Lydia Thompson has a report.
Nigerians who most times are aggressive and unruly back home are often on their best behavior outside the shores of this country. The question is, what is responsible for this behavior? Gaston Good Morning Nigeria attributed this to the erosion of religious, traditional and family values. The guests lamented what they called the emergence of some leaders who uphold negative ethical values, which is contrary to what obtained in the past.
Progressively, a new set of values have emerged for the average Nigerian, such that impunity has come to define relevance, authority, respectability, and so the intuition, your own intuition, is buried.
What is needed is actually to retrace our steps and begin to do the right things. We probably must have missed the bus elsewhere, but the bus is still moving sluggishly to the point that if we hasten our steps, we will be able to catch up with it.
Others also blame the moral decay on the relegating of traditional rulers to the background, as well as the virtual absence of women in leadership.
We need to look at another model. Let's give women a chance. Let's let people know that it's not about your muscle, it's about your character.
China in the past wanted to build a wall to guard itself against foreign aggression. And each time the aggressors came, they came through the door. So they did their little research and discovered that the building alone was not enough without building the people.
The guests are optimistic that all hope is not lost, as with systemic reorientation, Nigeria can again imbibe discipline by doing the right thing. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
Moving now to politics, civil society organizations under the umbrella of C24 Good Governance and Electoral Integrity of Nigeria have observed with regret the attitude of politicians, derogatory hate speech and activities they alleged can endanger the 2019 elections. The group, in a press conference in Abuja, claimed to have discovered plans to disrupt political process through foreign influence, cyber hacking and others.
The conspirators have also recently spent weeks recruiting highly skilled hackers, mainly from Asia and Europe, acquiring sophisticated weapons and setting up a base of operations in a popular Middle East destination with the sole aim of taking control of INEC online and uploading fictitious results in real time as voting goes on across the nation on election day. Investigations and observations we have made, and we said that we will not hesitate to call names if
the group called on relevant stakeholders to rid the system of all machinations which will be used to rig the general elections for the sake of peace, unity and development of the nation. Now to election matters, not less than 500,000 PVCs are yet to be claimed in Ogun State as INEC displays list of eligible voters in the state for claims and objection. Ayoade Elegbede reports.
Less than 3 months to the 2019 general elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is putting final touches to its preparation to ensure a free, fair and credible polls. In Ogun State, the electoral body had displayed lists of eligible voters at polling units across the state, giving the electorates the opportunity to ensure their names are on the list so as not to be disenfranchised. Visitors on polling units, however, revealed that electorates didn't turn out to cross-check their names on the list. Polling units where few people came to check their names, some itches were recorded.
Because our people are going up and down to see their name, so they go there and they see their name. In fact, we are very grateful for that.
It's pasted outside and people are coming in to pick their copies.
The head of Department Electoral Operations, INEC Ogun State, Samuel Ogunjemilua, however, reacted to attitude of some individuals who took to tearing of the list pasted at the various wards, describing the act as uncalled for.
It's most unfortunate that despite the fact that we have tried to let our people know the importance of those things, you could see some some people who are hoodlum or who doesn't know the value of what we are doing. They thought it's just paper pasted there, we go there and destroy. That is the society for you.
In Abeokuta, Ayoade Elegbede, NTA News.
Update on INEC cleanup exercise in Osogbo as the electoral umpire also beats stakeholders ahead of by-election. Let's join Kemi in Ibadan for details and more.
Thank you, Miriam, and a warm welcome to Ibadan. Registrants in Osogbo have begun collection of their permanent voter cards following the commencement of a nationwide voter registration cleanup exercise by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Osun State. The one-week exercise is expected to improve the electoral processes in the coming 2019 general elections. Correspondent Joshua Ogunjide reports.
In order to address processes such as over 750,000 requests for transfer of voter cards, replacement of lost and damaged cards and misspelled names, as well as incorrect personal details of voters. INEC is putting necessary measures in place to ensure free, fair and credible 2019 election. In Oshogbo, the Osun State capital, the process has started at various local government areas across the state. At Ward 6, polling unit 2 of Oshogbo local government area with 846 registered voters, registrants turned out to verify their records with INEC.
Someone is dead, you know, the member of the family can come around and object that.
Sincere apologies for that poor picture quality. Now, aftermath of insurgency, FRCN to introduce 1-hour program in Kanuri language. Let's join Mohammed Ibrahim from Maiduguri studios for more on this and other stories.
Thank you, Miriam, and welcome to Maiduguri. Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN Kaduna, is to introduce 1-hour Kanuri program as part of its contribution to youth enlightenment program and de-radicalization efforts of government. Director General of FRCN, Dr. Mansur Liman, announced this when he called at the Government House, Maiduguri. Mohamed Goni reports.
Dr. Mansur Liman, who said he was in Borno to show solidarity to the government and people of the state over the security challenges being experienced over the years, appreciated Governor Kashim Shettima's resilience and commitment to restoration of peace in Borno and the Northeast. He equally noted the infrastructure development spread across the state in spite of the challenges and the support to all the media outputs in the state, and urged him to sustain the tempo.
In recognition of what you have been doing and in our own effort to support the peace here in Borno State, our Radio Nigeria Kaduna is going to introduce a 1-hour program in Kanuri. We do believe that this 1-hour program is going to help quite a lot in consolidating the peace that has been restored in Borno State.
Governor Kashim Shettima, who described the Director General of the FRCN as a world-class scholar, acknowledged the zeal and commitment to the promotion of FRCN as demonstrated by his staff's dedication to duty.
I want to thank you most sincerely from the bottom of my heart for the kind of leadership you have provided for the FRCN that has cascaded down the structure of the organization. So
the governor reassured the Director General of the continued support of the Borno State government to Peace FM station in the state. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Internally Displaced Persons, Refugees and Northeast Initiative, Mohamed Sani Zoro, has described projects executed by Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiative as advantageous towards facilitating the reconstruction and resettlement drive of both the federal and state governments. The chairman made this statement when he led other members of the committee to Bama local government area of Borno State. Abubakar Mohamed Musa reports.
The visit by members of the House of Representatives Committee on IDPs, Refugees and Northeast Initiative to Bama is a continuation of oversight functions to assess projects executed by Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiative across crisis-affected communities in Nigeria. Briefing members of the House Committee on the Security Situation in Bama shortly after receiving them, Chief of Staff, 21 Special Armored Brigade Bama, Colonel Victor Unachuku said the area is relatively peaceful and secured now, with most of the returnees engaged in farming activities and assured of the military's determination in protecting lives and property of the people. The members commended troops in the front line for their unwavering commitment at restoring peace to communities hitherto under the control of Boko Haram insurgents. The lawmakers inspected a store of the PCNI where food items meant for incoming returnees are kept. The federal legislators also assessed various sections at Bama's General Hospital, which was reconstructed by the Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiative following its devastation by insurgents.
The National Assembly will continue to discharge its legislative obligations through oversight and through support, through appropriation, especially, for people who have suffered from generalized violence, such as the conflicts in the Northeast.
After a careful evaluation of equipment on ground in the store of the hospital, Chairman of the committee directed immediate submission of inventory. From Bama in Borno State, Abubakar Muhammad Musa, NTA News.
In other news, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC Borno State, has joined other states of the Federation in the distribution of materials for display and placement of voters register across the 27 local government areas of the state. Geodesy reports.
The 6th of November 2018 has been earmarked by INEC for placement of voters' registers so as to enable eligible voters know their stand before the 2019 general election. Speaking to NTA News, Resident Electoral Commissioner Mohammed Ibrahim Magaji said so far the Commission has printed out registers of eligible voters and delivered to various designated centers. The Commissioner stated that the Commission has put necessary modalities in place to ensure that complaints from voters are entertained and rectified, urging registered voters to ensure that they collect their permanent voters card at their various registration centers.
That display of our register indicates that if you have any claim or objection, either in terms of spelling of your name, in terms of date of birth, or even the picture, you can as well raise objection. PVCs are still around, and we want them to come and collect them for the purpose of the 2019 general elections.
Acting Electoral Officer of MMC, Tijani Hassan stated that 5 registration areas to include Bolori, Gwengi, Lamisula, Mafoni and Maisandari have been selected for placement of voters' registers of residents within the metropolis, adding that over 12,000 uncollected PVCs are in custody of the Commission and urged registered voters to come and collect them. In Maiduguri, Geodesy, NTA News.
That report concludes our contribution from Maiduguri. Is back to Miriam in Abuja for the rest of Nationwide.
Thanks, Mohammed. Now, strengthening the preventing and sanctions mechanism in the Code of Professional Ethics will enhance the efforts to combat corruption, promote accountability and transparency. This is the finding of a survey conducted by the Technical Unit on Governance and Anti-Corruption Reforms currently located within NATE. The studies, which stemmed from increasing use of codes of professional ethics and codes of conduct to resolve ethical dilemmas facing both public and private sectors, benchmarked against provisions of international anti-corruption frameworks, which Nigeria is a signatory. The outcome of the survey, titled "The Scoping, Survey and Gap Analysis of the Ethics Framework in Nigeria," is expected to help in formulating policies that would prevent corrupt practices and ensure accountability. Well, you're still on to NTA Nationwide. Another break beckons. Don't go away.
News which is...
Thanks for being there. Now to science and technology. Geodesy application in resolving environmental problems, detection and measurement of seismic activities and other forms of natural disasters was brought to the fore at the annual scientific conference by the Nigerian Association of Geodesy. Science correspondent Kirian Mwayo reports that space geodesy was central to the conference due to its high level of accuracy in geodynamics.
Means of deploying artificial satellites for the measuring of the form and dimensions of Earth locations, geodesy science deploys sensor systems, observation techniques, data processing, modeling and interpretation to define natural occurrences such as earthquakes, tremors, floods and landslides. How to encourage members of the Nigerian Association of Geodesy to improve on geodesy equipment to achieve accuracy in geodetic observations got special attention, basically due to the current earth tremors now being recorded in Nigeria on continuous basis, especially in the federal capital city of Abuja. Henry Nsongu, who represented Minister of State, Power Works and Housing, advised geodesists to leverage on the nexus between geodesy and surveying for greater efficiency in geodetic navigation.
Nigeria cannot afford to lag behind in space research technology, knowing fully well that development or underdevelopment is now a function of how advanced we are in science and in technology.
I am confident that this conference will provide solutions to the many problems that are presently bothering us in this country.
NASDA established the Center for Geodesy and Geodynamics
with the objectives of carrying out research in space geodesy for coastal deformation monitoring, coastal and subsidence monitoring, and global mean sea level monitoring.
Geodesy, which is measurement-driven, scientists say is an indispensable asset to the study of the Earth. Kirian Umayo, NTA News.
From Sokoto Center, let's join Nura for an update on the Zamfara State government compensation plan to curtail crime and other stories from the zone.
Thank you, Miriam, and welcome to Sokoto. Zamfara State Governor Abdulaziz Yadi has presented 4 million naira to an individual and 2 communities for recovering 4 AK-47 rifles from suspected armed bandits in the state. The gesture is part of the 1 million naira pledged by the state government to whoever finds and arrests any person or group with illegal firearms. Halil Muhammad Umar has more.
Among the beneficiaries of the financial reward was a driver who received 2 million naira after he crushed 2 suspected armed bandits to death and took over their AK-47 rifles along Gurbim Ori Gidanjaja Road in Zurmi local government area of the state. Others were Matuzgi and Malamai communities of Talata Mafara and Maradun local government areas respectively for arresting 2 culprits and seizing their rifles. Each of the community was given 1 million naira. Presenting the cash at a press conference, Zamfara State Governor, represented by the State Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Bello Dankanda Gamji, said the gesture is aimed at motivating people to assist the conventional security to further curtail the menace of insecurity.
This action will help to reduce the number of illegal arms in circulation, would by extension assist in controlling the current insecurity challenges in the state.
The commissioner, who assured that the gesture would be sustained to achieve the objective of the program, urged residents to be more vigilant and provide security agencies with relevant information that will help in addressing the security challenges bedeviling the state. The suspected armed bandits and their exhibits from Matuzgi and Malamai communities were said to have been handed over to military personnel in the 2 areas, while those recovered by the driver are under police custody. In Gusau, Halliru Muhammad Umar, NTA News.
The Federal Road Safety Corps Zone 10 Sokoto has organized 4th quarter retreat to prepare its personnel for the Embamo Special Operation Patrol. Muhammad Nasir tells us more.
The retreat with the theme Intelligence and Operational Security brought together all commanding officers and major stakeholders from Sokoto, Kebbi and Zamfara states. It is aimed at training and reawakening on the personnel on special operational patrol, particularly end of their activities. Zonal Commanding Officer Federal Receptive Corps Zone 10 Sokoto, Assistant Corps Marshal Osas Osade Bawi, says the Corps is focusing on intelligence patrol, considering the security challenges facing the country.
A retreat is trained, fully equipped, the capacity will be built up. Then they will now go and train officers and marshals.
At the end of the retreat, which also serve as capacity building, the officers and other stakeholders under Zone 10 are expected to be prepared for effective patrol during Xmas and end of their activities. In Sokoto, Muhammad Nasir, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Sokoto. Back to meet them in Abuja for more nationwide.
Thanks, Nura. Now, let's shift our gaze now, shall we, to sports update with Tamara Ebiwe. On a sad note, the 11th Emir of Nasarawa, Alhaji Hassan Ahmed II, is dead. Aged 79, the late traditional ruler had a long stint in the public service, having served as Director of Administration, National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, Kuru, and Director General, Industrial Training Fund for 7 years. The burial of the deceased, about now in Nasarawa town, has attracted hundreds of sympathizers, among them Governor Umaru Tanko Almakura. Details will be brought to you in our subsequent bulletin. Well, that's all on Nationwide. Thanks for joining us. My name is Miriam Akbata.